What's up, everyone? My name is Shane,
This is Mark.
and today we have three different topics that we're going to cover. One of them is about college basketball. We have another all-time topic, another San Antonio Spur, and then the last one we have is about who we think the Patriots should draft.
Yeah.
Do you want to start us off on the first one?
So our first one is going to be who we think is the better Ivy League player for college basketball. Who would win in 1v1 between, this is taking their career from college, not from future pro or past pro. It would be Xavier Lin versus Jeremy Lin. And two Ivy League guys, one from Princeton, one from Harvard. Both point guards, both similar stats in college, around 17, 6, and 5 from each of them. So we're just going to discuss who we think would win in a 1v1 if they were to face in college.
I think that this is really obvious. We've seen this from NBA players, some compilations of them humbling college athletes, high school athletes, and with Brian Scalabrine, completely normal people. But
He's closer to LeBron
yeah,
we are to him. Yep.
But if we're taking Jeremy Lin in the end at his best, Jeremy Lin would obviously win before Xavier.
Yeah.
That's not even a question. But when we're taking them in college, when you're looking at Jeremy Lin, this doesn't have to do with a 1v1, but in a 5v5 setting, Jeremy Lin, his hustle is something that separates him from a lot of players. He just came out there and he wanted it more, especially against UConn, his last college game, March Madness 2010. He had 30 points, but he also had like 4 or 5 offensive rebounds in that game. And he hustled after those loose balls as well. So in a 5v5 setting, I would have Jeremy Lin. But again, that's not relevant to the question. I just wanted to put that out there.
I honestly think Jeremy Lin would win solely because of his defensive capabilities that I don't think Xavier Lee has quite yet. And because Jeremy Lin was two-time all-defense, I believe, right?
Yeah, in the Ivy League.
Yeah, in the Ivy League. 1 or 2?
What?
Was it 1 or 2? All-defense.
Well, we could just say he has at least one.
Yeah.
Xavier Lee does not have that.
Yeah, and
At least not yet.
Yeah, and Jeremy Lin averaged around 2 steals and a block a game in college, so that as a guard is pretty impressive for all-around defensive capabilities. And I feel like he's just the better all-around player, being the first player in Ivy League history to have 450 points, 200 rebounds, and 200 assists. So just the all-around player, I feel like he would just beat Xavier.
Well, I would say I disagree.
All right.
I think that didn't sound like I wanted it to, but I feel that Xavier Lee, though Jeremy Lin is more efficient, I just think Xavier Lee's bag is just super, super deep. I know he's only a sophomore, but god damn, that thing is deep.
Shit. Anyways,
But what I mean is, of course, he has a lot of moves, and he has
Yes.
a range of around 30 feet.
that's true.
You give him any space 30 feet or inside, he is going to make you pay.
I feel like you could argue the same thing for Jeremy Lin, though. Obviously, you've seen how he can do in the college level, and in this scenario, we have to wait a couple more years for Xavier to become a senior and see like his full.
He might be declaring for the draft.
Really? Like
Yeah,
this year?
he might. Depending on how March Madness goes, I think I saw him on some draft boards.
All right, then
The
maybe
second round.
maybe we don't have to wait. But if he does stick out a couple more years in college, then we can see his full potential in college. But as of now, I think Jeremy Lin would win from just he's shown he can do it in the pros. Obviously, college is a couple years earlier, but I still think he could just beat him. Even though he's not quite a faster player, I feel like he just has. You mentioned a deep bag. I don't think he really needs a deep bag. I think his efficiency just clears over him, and I feel like he would just win even if good defense was applied from Xavier, which he hasn't really shown he has.
I feel that. But we've seen Jeremy Lin in a bunch of ISO situations in the NBA, especially with Lin's sanity on that stretch. He showed he can do it there, but people can change a lot in the span of a couple of years. Even in the span of a couple months, people can completely change, whether it be the mindset or whether it be how much work they put in. They could change a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I didn't really see watching Jeremy Lin's highlights. Well, I mean, these are highlights, and even watching a game or two, I didn't really see much of Lin demonstrating a bunch of moves that can really catch Xavier Lee off guard, in the sense that he'd be able to body. He needed to be able to know how to use his body, because he's actually 30 pounds heavier, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I feel that what Jeremy Lin has in size, I think Xavier Lee can make up with speed. Even in a 1v1 setting, if a couple changes of direction and Xavier Lee can get an open shot.
Yeah, but you mentioned moves again. I feel like Jeremy Lin doesn't really need the moves. I feel like his efficiency just clears. Like, even if he's getting guarded heavily, he can just take like a step back three. He can just take one of those mid-range shots, which he's good at, and just sink it. So I don't really think he needs the moves or the speed necessarily.
It's tough to think about, because I mean, of course I have never seen either of these guys play 1v1.
Yeah, that is why we have a scenario, Shane.
But it's also I was gonna say the same thing. Oh boy.
Shane,
wait.
Is there anything else you would want to say on this subject?
Not really. I mean, with 1v1, on offense is kind of just having a big bag is kind of a lot of what you need in a 1v1.
That's true.
So if Lee has a bigger, I think Lee has a bigger bag than Lin based on what they've displayed in game.
Mm-hmm.
Though this is contradicting myself. I haven't seen Lee do this against any really good teams.
That is true.
Like, if he does it, like even against Arizona last year, he didn't play a lot. But in March Madness, if he cooks some stuff up there, I think Lee can probably show something, in the sense that he could probably have the skills to be.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait a couple days.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned before, Wayne did put up 30 on UConn. He even in college showed that he had the talent to beat some of the better teams, as he did in the pros.
Yeah. Should we just move on to the next one? Or?
All right, yeah, we can move on to the next one. Our second topic of discussion is if Tony Parker could qualify as being a top 5 point guard of all time, and if we want to add on to it, if Westbrook could also qualify as being a top 5 point guard of all time.
I think, I mean, at first I was going into this, I thought Tony Parker had a really good shot at being top 5. Now that I'm on here, I don't think the chance isn't as big as I thought it was going to be. But I will say this, it is, despite what he's done, already divorced twice, he was a very good player. And it is very disrespectful that he is not even a top 15 point guard in a bunch of lists.
That's true. Finals MVP, 5-time All-Star, 4-time champ. Even though he had Duncan, he was the second option on a lot of those teams.
And he was, not to mention, he was All-NBA caliber, I think. And not All-NBA caliber, he was an All-Star on 2 of those championship teams.
And he was All-NBA 3 times.
Yeah.
So you could make a case for top 10. I don't really see a case for top 5. I don't think. Let's get the obvious ones out of the way. Curry, obviously. Magic, obviously. Oscar Robertson. Stockton.
Oh, no, Isaiah Thomas.
Well, I'm not really going.
Oh, yeah.
Isaiah Thomas. Stockton. I think Nash probably is.
Better than Parker, Westbrook, or...
better than Parker. I don't think... Where it gets iffy is like Jason Kidd in that realm.
I think Parker's better than Kidd.
I do. I do as well. Kidd, even though he's like the definition of like a true point guard.
Yeah.
I feel like Parker like won more. Like he showed that he could play in the big moments better than Kidd could.
Yeah, and a lot of modern point guards that I've seen above Parker in these lists, Damian Lillard. Though Lillard put up a lot better stats. Again, 4 rings just holds so much power. A Finals MVP holds even more because that's kind of showing you were hypothetically the best player on that team. And then Kyrie Irving has a ring, but at the same time, I just feel that he didn't have stats like Lillard did that really I would put him in a echelon of superstars. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I just didn't feel that he was superstar caliber like Lillard is. And then Chris Paul, I was really stuck on this one for a little bit because Chris Paul, of course, a lot of success. 12 All-Stars. I think
7 all defense.
And then I think 10 or more All-NBA. So like 11 or 12 All-NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't even know that. And then I also didn't know that he was third in steals.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that he was third in assists. That wasn't surprising. But statistically, Chris Paul seems better than Parker. But again, a lot of the times when you're talking about the best or the greatest point guards, or greatest players even, you want to look at someone that can produce, pass, score, and do all those things in the big moments. And looking at Tony Parker, he has definitely done that. He didn't hit, a Ray Allen type shot that's, stuck in the history books. But he's put up the same stats, if not better stats, in those situations in the playoffs.
Completely contradicting what you said in the playoffs. I'm going to talk about Russell Westbrook. Even though he doesn't have the playoff accolades that Parker does, I feel like Westbrook does have a greater shot at being a top 5 player. I feel like you could make a better argument for top 5 of all time than you could for Parker because, again, let's get the obvious ones out of the way. Isaiah Thomas, Curry, Magic,
and Oscar.
But then again, with Oscar, the only thing Oscar really has on him is one title. And I know you showed the significance of a title, but all Westbrook did was break Oscar's records. And I feel like... And did Oscar have Kareem?
Oscar had Kareem at that rate.
Yeah, again.
But at the same time, he did have Durant, and he did have Durant.
That's true.
Well, I mean, Harden wasn't really matured yet, but you could still see he was still oozing with talent, even off the bench.
That is true.
They were a young team, but I think with Westbrook, even though, like in 2015 and 2016, I think that was their peak window right there. But at the same time, facing dudes like Steph Curry and LeBron, especially at their peaks, it's... Well, of course it's not going to be easy. It's Steph and LeBron, but yeah, they didn't win.
They did not. But even past the playoff moments, I feel like just in the regular season, obviously he has the MVP that Parker doesn't have.
Yeah.
And he has more All-Stars, more All-NBAs. The only thing he doesn't have...
He does have the triple-double record, too.
And the triple-double record.
And I think he has the most in history, too. There's also that.
And I feel like you were talking about how completeness is a big part of if you could qualify for top 5. There's nothing he doesn't do.
Well, maybe shooting efficiently.
Besides, yeah, that's a good point. Besides efficiency.
And furthermore, shooting efficiently when it matters.
Yeah. But on the stat sheet, I feel like if you're just looking at numbers, he does the rebounds, obviously, he does the assists, he does the points, obviously. But he really just fills out all the stats, which is obvious from his triple-doubles and all that. And people might say he's a stat padder, but those stats still matter. And they help him make a case. And I feel like it's a big if, but the Clippers do have a shot to win this year. I don't know how big it is, but they're a top seed.
And he's definitely still going to play a role in that. They're not just going to sit a dude of his caliber out.
Yeah. Even though he's had the Westbrook,
even though I think Tony Parker, for me personally, I think Tony Parker would overtake Westbrook in a top 5 situation. I think it's still, I still think Westbrook deserves a lot more respect. And I'm really glad to see that a lot of people are starting to see that and really start to begin to appreciate him.
Because his only thing he really lacked was his field goal percentage, and it didn't really matter because he was so good at everything else. And the thing is, now people were just clowning him once he went to LA, the Lakers, not the Clippers. Now it's kind of died off because the Clippers don't really have the media that the Lakers have.
La media.
Okay. They don't have the media that the.
You guys want some French fries?
No thanks.
Huh?
No thank you.
Yes or no?
No. We're clipping this out.
No, we gotta.
Are we keeping this in?
Well,
One take.
It's up to you. It's up to
We're
you.
doing one take. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, with the media, I feel like there was just a false narrative that he just wasn't good anymore, and I don't really think that's true. He's never been great at efficiency. People act like he went from Curry to being who he is now. That was never the case. He's just so good at everything else that it didn't matter, and I feel like the media and people don't really give a chance for players to age now because they're so used to the LeBrons and the Kevin Durants and those players. And like Curry's 35.
Yeah. Or is he 30? Thought he was like 37.
Is he?
Wait, let me see.
I thought 35 or 36. But even so, like, we don't give players the time to age. And
Yeah, it's always 36.
like...
His birthday's on Pi Day. Nice.
Okay. Nice. Anyways, we're doing this in one take, aren't we?
It's up to you.
Alright, we're doing this in one take. Like, Magic, we didn't really get to see him age. Everyone in that time period aged, and that's all Westbrook is doing. But I feel like if Westbrook, to get to the point, the Clippers have a shot, and I feel like if Westbrook gets that ring, he's definitely has a big argument for top 5 of all time.
Yeah, I think if Westbrook gets a ring, I'd say no doubt he's top 5.
Yeah.
And I'd probably even go as far as saying I think he's better than Oscar Robertson if he gets that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for now, I personally have Tony Parker over Westbrook. We saw Tony Parker as he was getting older, and clearly that wasn't pretty. I mean, on and off the court, that just... But... He was averaging like 9 points in his last season. You can clearly tell his best days were behind him. But even still, like, if it's 1 or 2 seasons where someone's fading off, that's not really going to affect their legacy. Michael Jordan's Jordan. He put up 20 points per game in his last season in Washington. That didn't really do anything. Carmelo Anthony, I mean, I feel like all time, I don't really know whether he's overrated or underrated all time, but his last couple of years where he's kind of just been floating around rosters, still averaging 15 a game. That seems to have not really changed much about his legacy.
That's true.
And then even with Scottie Pippen, this is kind of why I thought Tony Parker could make a case, because I see that Scottie Pippen is regarded as one of the best small forwards. Though he was really impactful on defense, and he did a lot for Jordan all around. He was putting up like 26 and 6 or something like that, and he was very efficient as a player on both offense and defense, and he provided a good sense of leadership that people on the team were more comfortable with him expressing. Unfortunately, Parker did not show that he was as comfortable as a leader as Scottie Pippen. There were lingering chemistry problems, if I remember correctly. But other than the lingering chemistry problems and defense, I think Tony Parker and Scottie Pippen had a very similar impact in terms of they're both the second fiddle, doing what second fiddles do, and contributing to winning basketball.
Anyways, I feel like that concludes that topic really well. So for our last topic that we're going to get into, we mentioned it earlier.
This one's not funny.
Yeah. It's who we think the Patriots should select with their 3rd overall pick. Do you have an answer?
I'm going to predict what your answer is. Is it Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, I have a hot take. I think we should select Marvin Harrison, and then if he's there in the second round, or even trade up for a late first round, I think we should take Penix, and I think we should have Penix sit under Jacoby Brissett for a year, as we recently signed him. I don't think we need to take a guy like Drake May to have him compete with Jacoby Brissett when we just gave him that contract, but having Penix sit under a guy like Jacoby Brissett and having the talent that Marvin Harrison showed he has, we know he's going to be the number one wide receiver taken, and we know he can be a superstar within his first couple years. And I don't think there's a reason, with the Pats lacking offensively, even with the quarterback position lacking, we now signed a guy that is better than Mac Jones, and I feel like we would be frankly stupid to pass up on a talent like Marvin Harrison Jr., especially when I really think that Penix has very similar talent to the other top guys on the roster, or in the draft, that we could take in the second round.
I think that, watching Marvin Harrison play, he's Marvin Harrison Jr. Well, he does play very similar to his dad.
Yeah,
they both get a lot of deep catches. But what I see from Marvin Harrison Jr. that I didn't actually see as much as with his dad was he's a very smart receiver. There's nothing scarier on a football field with a receiver than someone that's fast and someone that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if they know where to go, like Marvin Harrison knows how to find those gaps. But not only that, he's a guy that knows when not to run, continue to run and then risk injury. There's this one play where I saw a big linebacker running after him, and he just took it out of bounds. I know that's a little thing, but health is everything in the NFL, especially with wide receivers and cornerbacks, since their careers are only so long.
Yeah. Is there a quarterback you think we should take instead of Harrison with the third pick?
Well, if Caleb Williams is somehow available, he's very talented, by far the best talent in the class.
Caleb Williams.
Clearly he knows that he's the best talent in the class. But I just don't. I can see Jamarcus Russell written all over him.
Except I don't think he's gonna get big and fat.
Yeah, except I don't think that's gonna happen. But based off the exposure I've seen with him, he's a little big-headed.
That's true.
And if I haven't seen much of his work ethic. If you're big-headed and have a big work ethic, a great work ethic, you can back up what you say. But if you don't have that work ethic that some of those great not trash talkers, but people that talk their talk, if you don't have that work ethic to back yourself up,
you'll just become another Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. Or who was the other? Oh no, there's someone similar that was. No, Baker Mayfield has gotten a lot better.
That's true. The Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah. And then, you want to talk about Jaden Daniels, or?
Obviously, I feel like if he is there, if he's with the third, I feel like he's just a better Penix. Not in the way that, obviously Penix isn't the runner he was with his 2 ACL injuries, even though.
Is Penix white?
Penix is black, Shane.
Oh.
Why are we doing it? Okay, never mind.
I've never seen what he looks like.
We watched film on him, Shane. Shane, you are so stupid. Anyways, Shane, we watched.
Wait, no, that was Jaden Daniels.
We watched film on both, Shane.
Wait, no, it's that guy.
Shane. Anyways. I feel like this would be a good spot to end the segment on.
Wait, but what about the white guy from UNC?
Jake May sucks. Jake May is Mac Jones. That's who Drake May is. I have no faith that Drake May will be a good player. If he's a superstar, you can quote me. I don't care. Same with JJ McCarthy. He can just hand the ball over. He can do this. I can do that too. Put me on the college roster. Yeah.
I think going off of Jaden Daniels, even if he was available, I just think that the Patriots have just had a long history of, most of it's Tom Brady, but of a good pocket passing QB. But with someone like Jaden Daniels, you can get a lot versatility from there. But based off what we've seen from him, something that, of course, Tom Brady did not display a lot of was questionable decision making, in the sense that a lot of the throws and scrambles that he makes are very risky. QB's careers are usually really long, but I mean, you've seen with RG3 that unfortunately there's some unfortunate things that happen sometimes just with one bad mistake.
Yeah, I think. You think that's a good place to end it?
I think that's a good place to end it.
Alright,
So we both agree that Marvin Harrison should get picked.
Yes. That was
He runs a 4.3
ish.
ish.
That was an interesting episode.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.